Hello and welcome to Top Story. What's to make of the latest audio messages from Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda? The first to appear this week is directed at what he calls the wise ones of Europe, apparently a tongue-in-cheek reference to the EU leadership. It contains an implied threat. Don't listen to our words, he says, watch what we do. The message, which is most probably timed to coincide with the anniversary of the Prophet Mohammed's birth, focuses on the decision of Danish newspapers to reprint a controversial cartoon of the Prophet with a bomb in his turban. The message goes further by setting the cartoon within the context of a crusade it claims is being waged by Pope Benedict XVI against Islam. In the world, according to bin Laden, the Vatican has joined forces with the Pentagon. The Vatican on Thursday described the accusations as absolutely unfounded. The second tape urges holy war for the liberation of Palestine and scorned Arab leaders who thought there could be reconciliation in the Middle East. Well, joining me now to make sense of the recordings is Pierre Abramovici, an investigative journalist and specialist on bin Laden. Thanks very much for being on Top Story. Just how seriously should we take these messages?
First of all, I have many problems about these messages. First of all, it's an audio message with subtitle. Who's that guy and why he sent a message with subtitle? Normally, he's a charismatic leader from an Arabic country, and he is supposed to tell in his own language some threat or something like that. So, he sent that for whom? Probably persons who doesn't speak Arabic fluently. I suppose the message is a destination of, I don't know, Spanish Muslim or African Muslim, or what do you want. But why send a message? What kind of message? The second point is that. From whom and about what? The message.
And why has he made it now?
I don't know. First of all, I'm not bin Laden. Nobody knows exactly what and why. But if you continue to analyze a bit the message, the contents of the message is a pure stupidity, of course. The Vatican is the real threat is the Orthodoxy and the Protestant. It's not the Muslim world. The Vatican problem now is the fact that the Catholic are weak in the world and they're attacked not by the Muslim but the Protestant and their charismatic movement and something like that. And for years and years and decades, the biggest enemy of the Vatican is not the Muslim world but the Orthodox world. That's the first point. But bin Laden has the right to be wrong. It's possible. I think it's simply to galvanize to action these underground cells somewhere. But who's that guy? If this guy is so important, with huge troops, he doesn't need to send a message. He needs simply to organize an important meeting somewhere in Afghanistan, in a free country, liberate from the Western troops, and that's all.
So, I mean, do you take this as being a sign of bin Laden's weakness?
Yes, I'm sure of that. I'm sure of that. Who are the people who's working with bin Laden? If you see, for example, in Africa, it's little groups. These famous underground cells. That's few men or women. A few men in Spain, for example, a dozen or maybe 2 dozen of terrorists somewhere. In Morocco, we've seen, for example, the famous bin Laden group. They are not more than 20 or maybe more than 100 persons. It's very few. So he needs troops, I think. And where are the troops? If you see the Taliban in Afghanistan, they are not part of the bin Laden movement. They are Afghan and their purpose is liberate Afghanistan for their own purpose. So I think that bin Laden needs to exist. And it's very easy when you are talking about the plot against Muslim religion by the Vatican. It's very easy to try to organize something. For example, you're a Muslim, I mean a devoted Muslim, normal, and you have some problem with the Christian. So it's easy to say, look, what they do, they are drawing horrible draws in Denmark about Muhammad and something. It's very easy.
This is an easy target, isn't it?
It's very easy.
He knows it resonates with the Islamic world.
Where are the real targets? It's not a message in a sense, for example, I'll prepare a bomb somewhere, or I want to attack Great Britain or United States, something. I want to attack France, for example, because France now publicly organized troops in Afghanistan against the Taliban. So Mr. Sarkozy is an enemy, and he described what he will be, what he will do in France, or what kind of cells will... No, nothing of that. It's just, remember, you're good Muslims, and your enemy try to attack your... I don't know the word in English. Your Muslimity. I don't know.
Your Muslimness. Yeah.
Yes, exactly that.
So, I mean, this is an appeal, I suppose, to an amorphous organisation. Al-Qaeda is very much an amorphous organisation, isn't it? I mean, in what sense should it be taken literally? I mean, should we see this as an appeal to cells of Al-Qaeda organisations around the world to take action against Europe, against the Catholic Church?
I have an example. In Mali, at the south of Algeria, it existed 5 years ago, a movement named the GSPC. Now it's Al-Qaeda North Africa. The GSPC 5 years ago was a little movement. At that time, it was 20 cars, 20 jeeps, with one cannon. And these 20 jeeps with one cannon didn't exist. They turned everywhere in the desert, and they attacked a group of German tourists. And they broke the cars, and I think they kidnapped some tourists, something. So the Americans decided that the GSPC was very dangerous. And they organized an enormous action with troops from Germany, from England. They sent in the airplanes, paratroopers, etc., etc. The result, the GSPC was quasi-destroyed. I mean, the column of the 20 vehicles was destroyed, of course. But suddenly, the GSPC became an enemy. So they tried to rebuild their little movement. Probably they are not more than before, but now they existed because we said that they exist. And the American says, look, these movements, they are very important. I don't want to discuss about the American purpose, but the fact is, I don't know what the GSPC is, but I know simply now they are Al-Qaeda, and because they are Al-Qaeda, they exist.
Bin Laden's got us eating out of the palm of his hand, hasn't he? Every time he utters a sentence, the world's media comes flocking to pay attention. Do we give too much attention?
Yes, I think we are creating the monster. Years ago, we had Carlos the Jackal, if you remember. And Carlos was very useful because we had the bomb, Carlos probably. Now we have a bomb, Bin Laden probably. But who knows? In fact, who knows? My idea is it exists everywhere, terrorist cells. Of course. Muslim, radical, everywhere in the world probably. But I think there are very few and they need an image, and we are creating the image.
And that, I'm afraid, is where we're going to have to stop it. That's all we have time for today. Thanks to our guest, Pierre Abramovici. Join us again next week for another edition of Top Story. Have a good weekend. Goodbye.